Hi guys, and welcome to my movie channel Blu-ray Ben. And obviously by the title of the video you see that I'm going to do an explanation of the ending of the film The Wrestler. So just to let you know, if you haven't seen the film The Wrestler, there are going to be some spoilers. So if you don't want to hear these spoilers, please come back and watch the video after you've seen The Wrestler. And if you don't mind seeing spoilers or you've already seen it, we're going to continue. So yeah, the film The Wrestler is a 2008 film. It's directed by Darren Aronofsky. He's an American director that does a lot of films based on characters and people, and he does have a lot of controversial films. As well as The Wrestler, he did direct Requiem of a Dream and also The Black Swan, starring Natalie Portman. So yeah, he's a great director, but his films, as I said, are quite controversial, and this is why today I'm going to explain the ending. The film stars Mickey Rourke as a wrestler called Randy the Ram Robinson, and also stars Marisa Tomei, or Tomei, I'm not sure how you pronounce her surname, who's a stripper and also has a sort of a strange relationship with Mickey Rourke during the film. They both give amazing performances. If you didn't know, Mickey Rourke won Best Actor, and Marisa Tomei was actually nominated for Best Actress. So yeah, they both give amazing performances, and they definitely make the film what it is. So just a bit of background in the film, just before I sort of explain the ending, is that Mickey Rourke is obviously a wrestler, the Ram, and in his younger years he was a very famous wrestler. You know, people knew him a lot, especially people, in the wrestling community. He was famous throughout the wrestling community. And after a fight which he lost, his sort of career starts to go downhill as obviously he gets older, as wrestlers do, and 20 years pass. And we sort of find this wrestler who's a lot older, still doing fights, but obviously not getting paid a lot. And we can see that he has problems with his daughter. He has problems with his living conditions, where he lives. He can't pay the rent. He has to ask for more work in the factory. And obviously the wrestling fights are getting smaller and smaller, and he's getting paid less and less. So yeah, it's in a bad situation. But this is where the film sort of picks up. We start to learn about his character. We also start to learn that he's sort of not in love, but he's definitely attracted to a stripper in his local strip club. He tries to talk to her a lot, and they sort of form a relationship. Okay, so basically what happens after, obviously we learn about the character and his relationship with his daughter and with his sort of stripper girlfriend, or the friendship they have, is that he's offered a 20-year anniversary fight with Ayatollah, who's a wrestler that he sort of lost against in his last big fight. And obviously it's going to get him a lot more money, or sort of bring him back into the limelight a bit, and he's really happy with it. But a couple of days later, after a sort of normal fight in a small arena, he collapses, and he has some heart problems, and the doctor obviously diagnosed him with the heart problem and says they can't wrestle anymore. So he's sort of caught in this dilemma between should he continue wrestling and risk his life, or should he stop and sort of just forget about his whole career and things like that. And obviously, at this point in the film, he's trying to really reconciliate with his daughter. It's going quite well. So he's sort of on the side to be giving up wrestling completely, and he decides that he's not going to do the fight, and things start to go well. So this is where the film turns, goes completely 180 degrees. Something happens between him and his daughter, and she sort of breaks off the reconciliation. She says that she doesn't want anything to do with it anymore, so that's sort of the first step of various steps. As well as having, obviously, the problem with his heart starts to build up, and while he's working in his second job, he's a meat cutter. Someone recognizes him as the wrestler, the Ram, and it sort of just this really boils over, and it's really the last nail in the coffin. And he deliberately cuts his thumb on the meat cutter, and he goes for a rampage out the store, and he sort of loses it. And that's when he rings up his agent and says that he's going to do the fight. This is obviously building up to the last scene of the film. Okay, just before the last scene of the film, Marisa Tomei, his sort of girlfriend, who he's having a relationship with, pleads with him not to fight because she knows he's got a heart condition, and he doesn't want to hear any of it. And this is where we come into the last scene. He's fighting with Ayatollah again, and obviously it's going to happen. He starts having heart problems, so he's doing a lot of exercise in the ring. He's running a lot, and obviously Ayatollah realizes that he's having heart problems. And he urges him to, do the countdown, to take him down and do the count because he sees him in problems. But the Ram is going to go out in style, and obviously he tries to continue, and he climbs up onto the top rope to do his signature move, which is a headbutt, and he's going to jump off the ropes onto Ayatollah and sort of finish the fight. But obviously this time he's crying. He's not sure what's going to happen. He's having heart pains. He's dizzy. And the last second he jumps off the ropes and he's in the air. He's flying through the air and the film stops. So this is where the controversial part comes in. The audience is left there with the mouths open, with their eyes wide open. What's going to happen? And this is the controversy. So what Darren Aronofsky's left the audience to decide is the end of the film themselves, which is, I think, is a really good idea. But obviously, there are a lot of people who take it in different ways. But you also have to think that before the last scene, he did actually sort of give some hints or some, some steps towards what he wanted the audience to feel. Obviously, before his last fight, Randy the Ram Robinson takes the microphone and gives his last speech. It's an amazing speech, saying that he's never left wrestling because of the audience, that a lot of people have told him that he shouldn't continue, but until the audience actually tell him that he should continue, he's going to continue fighting. So it's typical of films that, just before the last scene, the last battle, there's a speech, and obviously from the speech you have to try and take as much as you can. Now, I see the speech as sort of a farewell, so he's sort of already accepting that he may die and he's doing his last speech. But that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to die. It just means that he thinks there's a possibility that he might die. So he leaves this speech, he leaves it open just before the last scene for the audience all to think, what did he really mean by this last speech? Did he know he was going to die or he wasn't sure? But once again, it's controversial and he leaves it open. And then you also have obviously the Bruce Springsteen song that's during the film. And the song is called The Wrestler, but it's actually, the song is about a one-trick pony. And obviously, Mickey Rourke in this film, the wrestler, he's a one-trick pony. The only thing he knows how to do is wrestling. So he's going to give it his all. And if that all means his life, well, that's what it's going to be. So, you've got a lot of steps, a lot of hints during the film that, sort of point towards Mickey Rourke dying because he hasn't got anything else. But, as I said, he leaves it open for the audience's interpretation. And there's a couple of options. Obviously, he's going to jump off the ropes, he's going to go on top of Ayatollah, headbutt him, and he's going to win the wrestling match. But do we know if he survives or not? So the first option, obviously, he's going to fall off, he's going to jump off, headbutt him, and he's going to win the match, but they're going to find him dead on the canvas. Or he's going to do the same thing, but obviously survive, and he's going to become a great hero. But the good thing about this film is you can decide yourself. I'm not going to tell you what my personal view is, but what I'm going to say is that either way you choose, if he does die or if he doesn't die, it's a win-win for him, because if he dies, this fight's going to go down in history where he wins his last fight and he dies in the ring. Throughout history, people are going to talk about this fight, about Randy the Ram Robinson and his last signature move and how he won his last fight and he gave it all and he ended up dying in the ring. And if he doesn't die and he wins the match, it's going to go down in history anyway. It's the 20-year anniversary. Who comes back and he fights the same guy that he lost against 20 years ago, and he ends up beating him, and his fans are going to go mad, and he can obviously sell a lot more t-shirts and things like that. And I suppose after that he would actually stop fighting. So yeah, it's a win-win for him. Obviously he's had a bad life since his former famous career. He's having problems with his daughter. But you also have to remember that he's got Marisa Tomei there, who's sort of declared her love to him. So if he does survive, he can leave wrestling on a high note, he can start a family, and he can try and sort of rebuild his life. If he dies, well, he goes down in history as one of the greatest wrestlers in history who did everything for the sport. And I would love to hear what you think would have happened at the end of the film if we could have sort of seen 5 minutes more of this film. Please let me know down below what you think, how you think the film should have ended if you enjoyed the ending, or which option you would choose that Darren Aronofsky wanted people to sort of accept or think would be the best one. And yeah, if you like the video, please click on like, and obviously if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe.